Good morning, everyone. My name is Ria Maf, and today we're going to present the standardized assessment pack designed for primary school students who are between 7 and 8 years old and who are learning English as a foreign language. These learners are located at an A1 to A2 level according to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, which means they are basic users of English. At this stage, students are beginning to understand familiar words, short expressions, and simple instructions related to their immediate environment. They can communicate in very basic situations when the language is clear and supported by context, gestures, and visuals. Because of their age and level, assessment need to be motivating, simple, and adapted to their developmental stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Valentina Maestre, and it is also important to understand that these children are still developing literacy skills, attention span, and confidence when using a foreign language. For that reason, assessment tasks must avoid unnecessary complexity and instead focus on practical communication. Students at this level usually need support with vocabulary related to family, school, food, hobbies, routines, and classroom objects. They also benefit from repetition, colorful materials, examples, and clear instructions. In many school contexts, exposure to English happens mainly inside the classroom, so assessment should measure what has been practiced in class and should not demand language far beyond their experience.
Good morning. My name is Dana Granada, and when we analyze the alignment of this assessment pack, we can see that it follows the Common European Framework reference descriptors, the Colombian main standards, and classroom evidence task. In reading, learners are expected to recognize familiar words, identify specific information, and understand short text with common vocabulary. In writing, they should be able to produce short phrases or simple sentences about personal topics and preference. And in speaking, students are expected to answer simple questions, talk about interest, and participate in short guided interactions. This alignment is important because it guarantees that what students are assessed on is directly connected to what they are expected to learn.
Hello, my name is Juan Ángel Murillo, and another important and relevant point is that standardized assessment does not mean rigid or stressful testing. For your learners, standardization means having clear objectives, organized criteria, fair scoring procedures, and tasks can be applied consistently to all students. The goal is to collect relatable evidence of learning while maintaining a child-friendly environment. If assessment is well designed, it becomes an opportunity for a student to demonstrate what they know instead of feeling punished or intimidated. This is why his pack includes tasks that are familiar, realistic, and appropriate for children in primary school.
The reading component of the pack uses a restaurant menu as the main resource. This task asks the students to read a short, authentic text and answer questions through multiple choice and matching activities. The use of a menu is highly valuable because it presents language in a real life format. Students can identify food items, drinks, prices, and categories while practicing comprehension skills. Since menus usually contain short phrases rather than long paragraphs, they are ideal for children who are still developing confidence in reading English.
Through this reading task, several macro and micro skills are evaluated. On the macro level, students read for general understanding and for specific information. For example, they may need to identify what type of food is offered or which item is the cheapest. On the micro level, they recognize vocabulary, classify information into categories, and interpret simple data such as prices or names of products. And the total score is 6 points, assigning 1 point to each correct answer, which makes the grading process transparent and easy to apply.
The writing section of the assessment ask students to create a short social media post of approximately 30 or 50 words. In this activity, students imagine they are sharing personal information with friends or classmates. They may write about their daily activities, favorite food, hobbies, or routines. This task is meaningful because um, social media style messages are familiar, short, and personal. Students don't feel pressure to produce a formal essay, but instead use English in a context that resembles authentic communication.
In the writing component, important macro skills are assessed. One of them is writing for a communicative purpose. Seeing students use language to share real personal information with an audience. Another matter skill is producing short, meaningful text, which means learning can create brief messages that express complete ideas. And a third macro skill is organizing ideas because students need to present their information in logical and understandable order. This ability shows that writing is not only about grammar, but also about communication.
In this writing task, specific sub-skills are also evaluated carefully. One of them is using basic vocabulary, which includes common words related to hobbies, food, routines, and everyday life. Another sub-skill is forming simple sentences, meaning students should organize words correctly to communicate clear ideas such as I like pizza or I play soccer after school. A third sub-skill is expressing personal ideas and preferences where students share what they enjoy, dislike, or do frequently. This allows teachers to um, observe whether students can move beyond isolated words and produce meaningful personal messages.
Well, to evaluate writing performance, an analytic rubric is used. This rubric considers content, organization, cohesion, vocabulary, and grammar. This content refers to whether the student answers the task clearly and includes relevant ideas. Organization explores whether the message has a logical order, and cohesion focuses on the use of connectors such as and or but to join ideas, and vocabulary measures if the words used are appropriate for the level, while grammar evaluates the correct use of basic structures. Each criterion is scored from 1 to 3 points, creating a total of 15 points.
Now, talking about the speaking component, is based on a guided interview about personal interest. In this task, the teacher acts as examiner and the students responds to simple questions about hobbies, free time activities, and preference. The student receives 1 minute to prepare and then speak for approximately 3 or 4 minutes. This format is appropriate because it reduces anxiety and gives learners support through direct questions rather than expecting an independent presentation, and it also creates a natural conversation atmosphere inside the classroom.
In speaking, several macro skills are assessed. One of them is participating in simple conversation. Seeing students interact with the teacher through short exchanges. Another macro skill is communicating personal information and ideas because learners talk about their hobbies, routines, and preference. And a team macro skill is responding to questions appropriately, which means students understand what is asked and provide relevant answers. These broader abilities reflect real oral communication at a beginner level.
The speaking task also measures several important sub-skills. One of them is using basic vocabulary connected to hobbies, routines, and preferences, such as music, sport, reading, or morning activities. Another is producing simple sentences orally, which means the learner can answer with understandable structures, like I like dancing or I play tennis on weekends. Finally, students are assessed on answering simple questions, demonstrating what they can understand and respond appropriately with relevant information. These sub-skills support the development of effective communication.
To score speaking, a checklist of 5 criteria is used: fluency, pronunciation, intonation, accuracy, and interaction. Fluency refers to the ability to speak with some continuity, even if pauses occur. Pronunciation measures how understandable the student is. Intonation explores natural rhythm and voice variation, and accuracy focus on grammar and sentence formation, while interaction evaluates whether the learner responds actively and maintains communication. Each criterion receives from 1 to 3 points for a total of 15 points.
Even though this assessment pack is well structured, implementation can present challenges. Young learners often have short attention spans, so tasks must be concise and engaging. Some students may feel nervous during oral assessment, while others may have different learning rhythms. In schools, while with large groups, teachers may also struggle with time management, especially when speaking tasks require individual attention. Limited as access to materials or technology can be another limitation depending on the context.
But however, these challenges can be addressed with practical solutions. Teacher can provide clear visual instructions, model each step before starting, and create a supported atmosphere where mistakes are seen as a part of learning. Assessment can be divided into short sessions rather than one long exam, and a speaking interview can be scheduled progressively, while other students work independently. Rubrics and checklists help maintain fairness and consistency. With this adjustment, assessment become more manageable for both teachers and learners.
In conclusion, although implementing standardized assessments in primary A1 to A2 contexts may involve certain challenges, this can be effectively managed through careful task design, clear instructions, and practical classroom strategies. So the assessment process remains fair, valid, and appropriate for young learners.
Finally, when assessment is adapted to students' developmental needs and classroom realities, it becomes an important tool for measuring progress and supporting language learning. Therefore, this proposal offers a reliable and meaningful framework for evaluating reading, writing, and speaking skills. Thank you.